Welcome to School of Next Gen. Today we are going to cover heading tags in editor. So here you can see doc time HTML, very beginning of the HTML editor, and here doc type HTML, actually this is a built-in tag. And what is exactly a doc type HTML is? This is actually the specification of HTML that interrupt the document actually. And of course, this is a very basic structure of a HTML. And today we are only covering the body part, which actually can seen within the web page or the web portal, right? So, and of course today very important topic, that is heading tag. What is exactly heading tag is? Any content or any article start having a nice heading that actually provides the headline or the topic name of any content, right? Similarly, in HTML code also different sizes of heading can be given on our web page. HTML allows only 6 sizes for heading, and today we are going to cover those 6 different types of heading, right? So very fast, if you'd like to write within the angle bracket, say H1, right? So what we should write, let's say Bangladesh, right? And let's close it. Closing tag H1, and if we run this code, then Bangladesh, obviously bright, bold and big size Bangladesh represent on the white side of this editor the output of the element H1 code. And let's start with another code H2, let's say Dhaka. Of course we have to close this tag as well. So this is Dhaka, right? So for H1, this is a bigger one compared to this one. If you'd like to write here Bangladesh, so let's comparison within this 2 element tag. So first H1 and H2. H1 is obviously the bigger one, H2 is the smaller one. Then of course we could write down the H3 and H3. So this is become more smaller, and afterward if you'd like to write H6, what will happen? This will become very smaller, right? And if we compare a paragraph, like very basic tag of HTML paragraph, so let's say we write down we love Bangladesh, and let's close it, p tag, close it, and what will happen? So we love Bangladesh, and obviously you can see the H6, the smallest tag of heading, is very small compared to the basic tag of paragraph. So for writing the large headline or large topic name, we have to use H1, then H2, then H3, and chronologically we have to write down the H6 for the smaller one. To publish something in web page as the list or unlist form, for the list item we need to publish in either numerical or alphabetic way, and obviously the unlisted expression obviously in bullet form. There are actually 3 forms of HTML available. One is order list, another one is unordered list, and the last one will be the description list. The very first order list, as we have seen the green, Bangla, English and ICT, the 3 subjects actually are aligned and the published within the order list. And Bangla, English and ICT, there's actually this circle or the disk. So the expression is an order list, and right one, the coffee, the description of the coffee: black hot drink, milk, white cold drink. This is actually the description of coffee and description of milk. So we could use this three list possibility in HTML. Let's start with the order list. So of course the order list tag will be OL, and of course the closing will be /OL. This is the tag. Under the tag, to write down the list, of course LI closing. Each of the list, say Bangla, English and ICT, there's three actually the list for the order list. So we have to start each of the list start with the LI and LI. There are different form of actually listed item. One will be started with 1, 2, 3 and so on, and alphabetic, of course the lowercase a, uppercase a, and Roman number I and the I as well. So this way, how to write, we're going to discuss through the editor panel of HTML a little bit later. And here, say an example of list order code. So OL tag defines the order list, of course, and obviously start with OL and closing will be OL. So we could tell that an order list start with OL and closing obviously /OL, and each item starts with the LI tag, right? So if you'd like to write down 3 drinks name in listed way, so OL, and of course list coffee, list tea, and closing, and obviously the OL start here and close here. So today our mission is to learn order list of HTML code. So very initial doc type has written. This is actually the specification of HTML, and then HTML, and obviously the closing of HTML. And this is the very basic structure. And let's start with body and closing of body as well. Okay. And we also could learn one thing, that when you have written in this way, say learn order list. So this is actually the formation of writing comment. Whatever you have written on the editor in HTML, this comment will not impact on your output, right? So if I run this one, so there is nothing on the white portion of the output side. And of course the main target is to learn order list. So order list has to start with OL and of course closing OL. What we would like to learn? We would like to learn, or what we would like to publish. Let's say we would like to publish most popular drinks, heading 1. So let's write down order list. Let's start with first one is tea. Of course, some people will be angry. Let's start with the water, right? This is the most popular drink all over the world. And second one, let's say my favorite, and of course yours as well. So this will be coffee. And the third one, let's consider tea. Okay, so this is the very basic structure of order list code. So start with OL and closing will be OL as well. And of course the item writing with the list. So item water, coffee, and the tea. List, and let's start with the run button. Click it, and this is actually the answer, right? So what will happen? We haven't closed this one, that's why the result looks like the hilarious way. Okay, this is the answer, right? Here, one thing, why water, coffee, and tea look like same as the heading one, because we have in closing here as well, so we have to close this one. So this is the list of the most popular drinks. So if we observe, the output start with 1, 2, 3. So this is actually the built-in format of order list. So if you'd like to start with OL and closing with OL without any attribute tag, then it automatically coming with 1, 2, 3, right? But if you'd like to start with here A, B, and C, it means start with A. So we have to start with the tag OL, and afterward attribute tag name called type, course type, and we have to write down, let's say A, lowercase a. Now it will start with A, B, and C. Instead of uppercase A, it's definitely start from A, B, C. Similarly, if you start with Roman number I, definitely start with 1, 2, 3 in Roman number. Similarly, okay. If you'd like to publish any items within our web portal as square, circle, or disk, as shown on the screen, you can see that. So in that case, we can use unordered list. Unordered list actually same as the order list. So instead of OL means order list, we have to use UL tag for unordered list, and of course list opening and closing tag that has to return for nested within the UL tags for unordered list. Say here Bangla, English, and ICT, these three subjects has to represent in unordered list means the square. In that case, we have to use the unordered list. In that case, of course, the unordered list tag will be UL and closing tag, and list opening and closing has to be nested within the UL tag. Let's have a try now. For this video, actually, I'm trying to teach students learning by doing. So already we have know the basic about unordered list. So now this time we are going to learn unordered list of HTML, right? And of course, you hope you remember how to write down the comments. Of course, the angle bracket and then exclamation sign, then double dot, then whatever you have written, then of course to dot line, then bracket close, I mean angle bracket close, then it will be marked as a comment, and of course the basic structure. Now if you'd like to write down, say the subject myself master at, right? So this will be a heading, and of course the subject I have to write down, say my favorite is physics, right? And afterward, I love actually ICT, because when I was very young, then that time ICT was scary things to us actually. But nowadays, I'm trying to learn myself, of course, learning by doing. That's why I also give it back to my society and my student as well. So my second choice will be ICT, and third will be, of course, the math. Of course, math is my favorite as well. This is not a chronological way I have been written. Anyways, so physics, ICT, math is my subject, which myself I think I'm a master at. So, of course, I'm going to write down this three subject as an order list. In that case, of course, UL will be the tag, and you will close. Under nested, I have to write down the list, of course the closing list, opening list, closing list. These are the tag for the subject, which actually the item under order list. So now go for simulation or run button. So my master subject at, this is actually the heading, and this three subjects are actually the item under the unordered list, right? And this disk actually represent the unordered list, and this is by default, by the way. Now we know that there are a couple of unordered lists like circle, square, and of course if you don't like to use this disk, instead none, in that case you have to type, then it will be none, right? So it will be none. It means if you like to something that instead of the disk, so you have to use the attribute. So the attribute name will be type and value will be none. When it is none, it means that there will be nothing. Instead of none, if you'd like to write circle, right? Circle. So in that case, you will get this circle. And instead of circle, if you'd like to write the square, of course, then you will get the square. And if you not write anything, like just write the tag of UL, in that case you will get the disk, I mean circular disk. So this is actually the unordered list. Description list. Description list, when we are going to publish something about some glossaries, some fact, some name or value pairs, right? In that case, we can use description list. So for description list of HTML, the very starting tag will be DL, the description list. And under the description list, DT and DD, DD and DT stands for definition or define the term or the name or the title, or DD means defines the description, details, explanation, etc. Such as the example here, the coffee. Of course, the coffee is the term, and under the term of coffee, the description will be black, hot, energetic drink or something. Same as milk, the white, cold, energetic drink or something. So this black hot drink and white cold drink are the description that is represented or tagged by DD, and coffee and milk, these are the term. So this should be under nested with DT, and DT and DD nested under DL. So the code will be description list, and of course we have to write down the term coffee. Under the coffee we have to have a description. In that case we have to have DD. Let's try by using editor of HTML. Let's start. So say an example of a web page or web portal of any coffee shop or any type of supermarket. They would like to describe about coffee and milk, right? Or maybe a farmhouse, or maybe a agricultural farm. They would like to give you some brief description about coffee and milk. In that case, they would like to give some health benefit or something, or some description about coffee and milk. In that case, say healthy food, healthy liquid food, right? So the structure of HTML will be description list, so DL, and of course the closing one. And here what we have to write? We have to write the DT term, right? DT term means defines the term or the name, right? So it should be, first of all, coffee. Close it, DT close, and under DT we have to describe DD. So what we have to write, say this is a black, hot, energetic drink. So close this one, GD. Okay, just write down drink, make it simple. Same as, I just copy this one and paste it here. So now I would like to write here milk, and of course milk is a white cold drink, right? So if we give the simulation or run button, so we'll get the description of coffee is a black hot drink and the milk is white cold coffee. So this is actually the description list coding. Now give a try a large code. So the basic structure of description list, DL and closing DL, and within nested DT and DD will be here. So now try give a description of HTML, right? So HTML, what is exactly HTML is, we have learned throughout. So HTML actually a hyper text markup language, and very close to HTML there is another language called CSS. What is CSS? Of course CSS and HTML is the definition, a defined term. So we have to have a description of the HTML and CSS. So the description of CSS will be cascading style sheet used for design and styling web portal, right? This is actually the description of CSS. And of course we can write down more about HTML as well. So HTML actually the hypertext markup language. This is the elaboration of HTML abbreviation. So what is exactly the HTML is? We could write down the standard language for web pages, right? So this is actually the defined term of HTML, and of course the DD transfer the description of HTML under or nested by the description list, same as the CSS as well. And of course we could write down more about, say, DT and JavaScript, right? What is JavaScript? Now it is very popular. So DT, and of course very demanding language Java, so it should be DD, and a programming language that makes web pages interactive. Let's close it. And of course this description list and description list will be nested by this defined term and defined description. Let's run this one. So this is HTML. What about HTML? Hypertext markup language, blah blah blah, and of course CSS as well and JavaScript as well. This is actually the empirical example of description list. Hope you understand. If any comments or anything, give me a comment. HTML attributes. In HTML, some tags can't work properly by itself, in that case HTML attributes are actually work on that position. HTML attribute, it actually regards something. By the definition of attributes, a quality or feature regarded as a character or inherent part of something. It gives more flexibility and obviously mobility as well at the same time. So attributes is a very, very important and very complex sometimes in HTML tag. So HTML tag is used inside the opening tag to control the element's behavior, and HTML attributes are a modifier of an HTML element. So it's working actually a modifier to modify its element or its behavior. An attribute either modifies the default functionality of an element, or it provides functionality to certain element which are unable to function correctly or properly as you want to publish in your web page. So here is the basic tag of attribute, right? So the image actually the tag, and it's not working properly by itself. In that case, the image has to work by an attribute. It means an image has to be imported from somewhere. So a source is used here, and of course I will explain a little bit later more about the attribute tag. And of course there is something, this is called value, and there is another attribute tag, and whole tag is called the element. By the way, image is an empty tag, that's why it haven't got any closing tag. Here an attribute tag have couple of properties. So the source actually the attribute name, because image is not working properly by itself, in that case an attribute tag is used. So source is a attribute name. Here could be another attribute name could be used for different operation and different tag as well. And bird is a value of the attribute name. And there is another property in an attribute tag, multiple attributes can be operated. In that case, each and every single attribute tag are separated by a space needed, and of course in between attribute name and value there will be an equal sign needed to separate the attribute name and the value. Now let's jump into the code.